Hello and welcome back to Buck the Trend. I'm Matt Nartiv.
And I'm Steph Klassevac.
And firstly, we have an apology to make for missing last week's show.
Yeah, it's entirely my fault. And we're not going to talk about why right now because there's some stuff going on behind the scenes. It's not really that exciting. There's no rogue sponsor announcement or anything coming, but we'll share more when we can.
Yeah, joint effort. Just a few hiccups along the way, as there always is. But that's just part of it. So apologies for missing last week, but hopefully we make up for it this week.
I hope so. And there have been a couple of other podcast recordings I've done in the meantime. We just didn't find time for this one. So hopefully you'll all get your fill now.
Yeah, so you have had a few other podcasts. I think one or two have been released. The other two still outstanding.
Yeah, I mean, I'm basically a podcaster now.
Full-time podcaster, part-time triathlete.
I think it's becoming that, which is great. I don't mind too much. Enjoy just talking.
So yeah, let's kick off. Obviously, the plan is currently Hamburg in
10 days-ish, 11 days.
Yeah, this weekend coming up, just a week, isn't it? So
1st of June.
So not long to go now. So
no,
what would training look like coming into this last week?
I have no idea.
So a bit of taper.
Yeah, basically he's just starting to freshen up now. This is when basically is all intuitive. So if I'm feeling more tired than I would like, then we'll do less. If I'm feeling good, then we'll stick to the plan. But all about getting to Sunday in the best physical, mental and emotional state possible to execute a pretty big day of swim, bike, run again.
Yeah.
Because I've already done it once.
So that's Texas. I think we'll cover a lot more on Texas next week.
Hamburg.
Sorry. Yeah, did I say Texas twice?
Yeah.
Hamburg.
He's out of practice. It's been 2 weeks.
It's been 2 weeks. Hamburg, we will cover in next week's show. Runners and riders, bit more into what we're looking at.
Yes.
Course, everything else to do with it. So this week, we put out a few questions to you guys on what all things triathlon.
What do you want to know?
Yeah, so we've put together a load of the questions and we'll try and work our way through them and see how far we get.
Yeah, for sure.
So we've kind of split them into, well, some are quick fire, some will probably take a bit more explaining.
Yeah.
And we don't have too much structure with it, but we're just going to go with it, right?
We never have structure.
Well, where's the fun in that?
Exactly.
So I'll kick them off. I think I'll probably do most of the asking. You can do most of the answering.
Okay, fine.
But there might be some where we both want to answer along the way. So first one we had, it's on mindset. So I'm asking you the question here, Steph. How do you deal with the mental side of racing as a professional athlete?
I think, I put this one at the top because it's one of my favourite questions, but also takes the most to unpick. What is the mental side of racing as a professional athlete? Because it's still swim, bike, run, even as an age grouper, you were racing to finish as high as you could. I mean, I was always racing to win because that's just the nature of how my strengths worked. So, what is different about being a professional than an age grouper? And I guess this is my job now, and I get a ranking and I get pay based on race results if I do well enough. It determines whether or not sponsors are going to be interested, or is at least an element of whether sponsors are going to be interested or not. But it still doesn't really change much because you're still racing to be the best that you can be. The biggest difference is probably as an age grouper, I was one of the best, and as a professional, I am not yet one of the best. So yeah, I think this question, it just needs a bit more unpicking. I had lots of performance related anxiety when I was a rower because at the core of it, I didn't believe I was good enough. So I felt like I needed a perfect race to achieve any sort of good result. I've done a lot of work on that now to kind of let go of any residual perfectionist tendencies that like to creep up and put their head in the way of me and my racing, because you don't have a perfect day being a professional, and quite frankly no one really people don't actually care. And I think that's probably the biggest lesson. Like, I stand on a start line and we've seen some of the best athletes in the world turn up to races and not perform and do so with so much grace. And I feel like if you've got world champions that can turn up and do that, I can turn up and do that as well. Whether or not I have a good day, I can do it with grace and I can show respect to the people around me. And the only thing that I can learn is how I can be better next time.
Yeah, and I think getting the best out of yourself on that day, and that doesn't mean every day is perfect. You might be having a tough day, but it's how can you get the best out of yourself on that day?
And that's the only thing that matters, because I can't control how anyone else does.
Exactly.
But I can completely control what I do. And if I don't have a good day, then yeah, okay, I can be sad about it for a little bit, but then also need to take accountability on myself to understand why I didn't have a particularly good day. Was it that I was stressed going into it, or I had a series of bad nights sleep, or actually was training just less consistent than I led myself to believe? Or if I have an excellent day, like why did I overachieve compared to what we expected going in? And sometimes you just have those days where it's a bit hard to figure out what the answer is. But like this, we're all doing a swim, bike, run. The conditions are the same for everyone on the day. We're all having to deal with the same challenges as we go through. And it's really easy to get into a victim mindset and be like, oh, things always happen to me. I always get a puncture. You know, I always lose a bottle. It's like, okay, we'll do something about it. But also, it also always happens to everyone else. Like, it's not just you. Yeah. Everyone else is dealing with setbacks during racing as well.
And I think we're always searching for that perfect race. And I mean, it might never happen. It depends what your perfection is.
I don't think it does happen.
But I think very rarely as an athlete, no matter your competition you're in, are you getting that perfect race. There might be elements that haven't gone to plan. So I think it's very difficult to chase that perfection every race.
Yeah, agreed. And when it comes to the pressure that we put on ourselves, like, I was fortunate to spend time with, training alongside Christian Blumenfeld, Gustav Eden and Casper Stornes in Texas. I've never seen three people have so much fun in training before. Like, these three are three of the best athletes in the world. And I think I can include Casper within that after his result over the weekend. They just have so much fun. Yeah, they work hard, but they love what they do. And it doesn't matter if they don't do the set perfectly, because they love it and they're having fun. And that's what's more important, because it means that they will work harder and they will be consistent over time, and they can turn up to racing and fully trust themselves. And that's, I think, like, that's how I deal with it. Like, I love what I do. This is why I've changed my life to do it. I've stepped away from a career path. This is my third go at elite sport. I would not be doing this if I did not enjoy it.
Yeah, and I think that's part of the sort of longevity side of things as well. Like, the Norwegians have been at it for a long time now. The reason they're still doing it is because they're still enjoying it. They're doing it with a smile, and I think that is important for everyone, whether it's a hobby, whether it's a profession, is to try and enjoy it.
100%. And then the results come. They will come with hard work, consistency, learning racecraft, learning from mistakes, dealing with setbacks. Like, they happen. It's how what you put in terms of process, not training harder, but execution is what counts.
Yeah. So, key takeaway: enjoy it.
Yeah, just have a bit of fun. Life's for living.
Cool. Right, next one. So we had a few come through on sort of balance. So we've sort of categorized these in terms of how do you manage these. So the first one was a question around private life and training. You can cover that one.
Yeah. So I want to bucket the top two, actually. So it's private life and training and alcohol and training. I'm really introverted. Like, I could quite happily stay in my house if I wasn't training and just talk to people through my phone. Like, for me, that is totally fine. I don't mind having a social life. Like, I really enjoy seeing people, but it's never something that I've craved to get energy. It's like, I don't need it to keep me energized. And if I do too much of it, I actually get really tired and overstimulated, which is hilarious because it's taken me so long to know that and realise that that's actually what was happening. And I wasn't just like tired, like there was a reason for it. So like my friends all very much understand what I'm doing. And I guess like I'm 31 now and 3 days.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. We live in the countryside. Like socializing is going to our friend's house and having dinner, or popping to the pub for dinner, or going on a coffee ride and stopping at a cafe, or going to the lake and having like, so it's where I am at and the way that we've created our life. Socializing is very like a very low key part of it. And the way we socialise is very low-key, which suits me perfectly because I also don't drink. Not related to being an introvert at all, or related to sport, actually. It's nothing to do with the fact that I do triathlon, nor the fact that I was a rower before then.
Too many hangovers from university.
Yeah, basically. No, so when I was recovering from my back injury, I kept experiencing flare-ups and I didn't really understand why until I guess it was kind of a light bulb moment, but I went to see a specialist and they were like, yeah, this is so like the spasms in your back are now a stress response, which means that whenever you get stressed, your back muscles are going to spasm. And obviously stress comes in so many forms. So that is a hard day at work. It could be an argument at home. Alcohol and hangovers are a big stress. Like that's the whole point. They make you really tired. So drinking was inadvertently causing me back pain, and I never really liked alcohol in that. Like anyway, it wasn't. I didn't just have a glass of wine. So through COVID, when we weren't socializing at all, I stopped drinking and I haven't drunk since. So for me, that isn't a balance that needs to exist anymore because it's not something that's in my life. However, I did drink while I was rowing. And it does impact your training and it impacts your recovery more so than it impacts your training, because I have had some of my best sessions the day after a night out, but I've also then had my worst weeks of recovery off the back of that. So I think it's like balance it however the hell you want, but just be aware it impacts your recovery. So you're more likely to get ill. So like maybe don't go out on a night out once a week, but there's nothing wrong with like having a glass of wine or a beer. Like there's no one is saying that you need to be teetotal and be an athlete.
Everything in moderation.
All of it in moderation, and know what your limits are, because we're all very different. Like if I had one drink now, I would be hungover the next day. Just because I haven't had any for 5 years.
That's an experiment we can try.
No, we do not need to play that game. I am quite happy with not drinking alcohol. But yeah, so I think it's like, yes, of course it's a balance, but just don't, like, if you're not at uni anymore and you don't need to go out 3 times a week, just don't do it.
Well, there's so many alternatives out there nowadays. I mean, the 0% beers I see are becoming very sort of, I want to say fashionable, but especially amongst our age group as well. I'll go out with friends now and I'll notice a lot of the guys, girls, that all drinking 0%, or mixing up and not having 10 pints.
Yeah, just having a little bit less.
So yeah, everything in moderation, especially if you're training.
Yeah,
it just makes it life a lot easier.
Yeah, for sure. And I think like one of the easiest moves to make is to move your private/social life away from alcohol.
Yeah, and also I find celebrating after a race, I know it doesn't help with recovery, but celebrating, it gives you something to look forward to as well.
Yeah,
you can celebrate.
When we were rowing, we just have massive blowouts like 4 times a year.
Yeah.
Which is not necessarily good for you either, but it meant that the coach was actually, we genuinely used to have nights out in our training plan, which was done on an Excel spreadsheet back in the day. And it would be night out and then like 2 days off to recover. And it was pre-planned. And that was when we went out, because I was training as part of a squad, and that was when we agreed with the coach that we were going to go out because it would have the least impact on our development pathway at the time.
Yeah. Anyway, last one on balance, work and training.
This one is probably the hardest, because it completely depends on like what work, what your working situation is. So for the last like couple of years of me being in full-time employment, I was working from home. So I had much more freedom over okay, no, that's a lie. I didn't have more freedom. I had more time in the day because I wasn't having to commute.
Yeah.
So I could do training in the morning before work and training in the afternoon after work. So I typically prioritize swims in the morning, getting up at 5 a.m. to swim at 6. And then I'd be back home by like 8:15. I live quite a way away from a pool, so that's why I'd swim 6 till 7:30 and then sit in traffic on my way home. And then I'd do like bike or run in the afternoon. With a commute, that becomes more difficult because, well, I guess instead of commuting from the pool to home, you're commuting from pool to office, but it can consolidate your time a little bit, and there's just a little bit less available. So you need to plan, and I think that's when you need to have a support system at home that is aware that, if you're working until 5 in the office, your commute's an hour, so you're going to get home at 6. You probably should have a snack on the drive home or in the last like hour of working, but then you're going to have to sit on the turbo for an hour to an hour and a half. So, it might not be every day, but having that support so that you don't feel like you're resented is really important. Because, I mean, Matt and I, we used to train together, so we've got our turbo set up next to each other. So I never felt bad that I was training because Matt was doing it with me. And then like being as planful as you can with regards to like work trips. So I was either at home or I was working like delivering workshops or at conferences, which is even less predictable than a day in an office because I was having to get there at like 7:30, 8 o'clock to set up. And then the workshop would finish at 5, but we'd be getting out of the room at, 6 o'clock, and then was probably going for dinner afterwards, and then maybe going back the next day. And I'd turn up to hotels with my turbo in the car and my bike in the car. And equally, like we said, I'm an introvert, so I would sometimes turn down dinner and say, no, I'm really sorry, I can't come, because I needed to have my time in order to turn up to be like the best that I could be for the delegates the following day. Because me tired and hungry is useful to absolutely nobody. And so I think, like, 1, plan your time. 2, know your limits. Like, know how many sessions you can fit in a week, and don't get close to that threshold, because the more stressed you are, the less you're going to recover. So say that you can do 14 hours a week, like, sit at 11 so that you can ramp up if you want to, but you don't have to sit at the maximum hours that you can do. 3, like, plan your food. So meal prep on a Sunday, we used to do quite a bit of that. Or get like one of the meal prep services. So we used to use, I think we had HelloFresh for ages.
Yeah. Once we ran out of discount codes.
Yeah, and then we ran out of discount codes, so we stopped. But they were so great because then I didn't have to decide, or Matt didn't have to decide what we were going to cook for dinner. We just kind of picked one of them. I think the 4th one is have conversations at work.
Yeah, I was going to say it's like setting boundaries.
Yeah, and just let them know, like, no, I can't stay on past time every day because I'm training for this thing, and it's really important to me.
Most people will accept that, and like I say, if you've got a conversation, it can be had, and people are quite understanding.
Yeah.
Like, mental health has become quite a big thing in the workplace now.
100%.
And I think that plays a big part of it, is being able to exercise and just clear your head a little bit. I think,
and it's always give and take.
Yeah.
So it's like, obviously, if you've got a deadline or if something, something's gone wrong, you might have to stay, and that I ended up having to do that more than I would like. But you just, as long as you know that it's not expected of you all of the time, and you can say, yes, I can stay an extra hour today, however, not tomorrow, and be okay with that, then I think that's great. And unfortunately, that's all down to the culture that you've got at work, which I can't comment on.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think, like I say, boundaries is probably the key.
Boundaries, plan, and don't overdo it. I remember a time when I was getting up at 5 o'clock every day.
Yep, I remember it well.
Yeah, it wasn't even when we were here. It was when we lived in Bath. I was getting up every day and getting on the bike for an hour and a half. Don't know why. Bit silly, completely unnecessary. And we go for swims on our lunch break.
Yeah.
Because it was a 2-minute drive to the pool.
Right. Next one is sort of transition piece from sporting transitions now.
Mm-hmm.
So give us a quick brief, because you've gone over it on quite a few podcasts before, so we don't need to go into too much depth, but in terms of how did you switch from rowing to triathlon, and did you have any previous experience?
So I never did it. I had never done a triathlon before. I did this one. Did my first Ironman.
I think from how I see it is obviously you swam as a youngster. You also did quite a lot of cycling indoors on a watt bike when you were rowing with a back injury.
Yeah.
Running, I guess, is the main one you hadn't done. I don't know what you did as a kid.
Yeah, so like when I was 11, I did school cross country. I think when I was 11 and 12, I did school cross country, and I was quite good because I was fit because I swam. But then I got tendonitis in both my knees, and running hurt loads, so I just didn't do it ever, unless I was playing hockey. And even then, playing hockey was like once a week in school lessons. I loved hockey, but I wasn't very good at it. So no, I had no previous experience in triathlon, and that's actually why I signed up for my first Ironman. So when I stopped rowing, I felt like I had completely failed everything that I had wanted to achieve, and I needed to do something really hard to prove to myself that I was capable. And I thought, oh, what's really hard? Oh, a marathon's quite hard. What's harder than a marathon? Oh, an Ironman. So I just figured, why not? Like, I knew I could swim, so I knew it would be a really hard day putting it all together, because it's like, obviously it's a really long day, but there wasn't, like, the swim didn't scare me, and I know that's like a big barrier for a lot of people, because I knew I could swim 3.8k. At this point, I had cycled Land's End Stradagrote, so I owned a bike, and I knew I'd done some big cycles because I did some 180k days for Land's End Stradagrotes. So the running was a complete unknown, and I was like, you know what, let's just do it. So yeah, no previous experience, and it was a case of, why the hell not? I had no ambitions of being any good. I had no ambitions of doing any more than one. I just wanted to do an Ironman to prove that I could. And that was that. Failed on some of those counts. I did do it, but then obviously I carried on. So good for me.
So I think that wraps up transition into the sport,
Yeah.
really. We had a few on cycling. So first one, top 3 tips to improve cycling.
Oh. Learn how to ride a bike outside, I think, because it's all very well being able to put power out, but in a race, quite frankly, you don't want to put power out. You want to go fast for as little effort as possible. So if you know how to ride a bike, you know how to corner, you know how to be aerodynamic, you know when to put pressure through the pedals, you know how to best change your gears, you know how to like send it around corners. That is like number one. Yeah.
Another one on that is, and it's to do with cycling, and improves your cycling, is knowing bike maintenance.
Oh God, yeah.
You can probably make yourself a hell of a lot quicker just from having a clean drivetrain,
yeah,
good tyres on the bike, good setup.
Yeah, spend time getting to know it a little bit. Like, I remember I used to be terrified about tubeless tyres because I learned how to change an inner tube. Changing tubeless tyres is probably the easiest thing in the world, as long as you've got tyres that will go over your wheels. And it took me ages to like decide I wanted to learn it. But yeah, I think being confident, and so yeah, learn how to ride a bike outside, be confident and comfortable maintaining the bike that you've got. And then the last one, honestly, just a bit, unfortunately, because it's a lung and heart based sport, you've just got to spend time doing it. As with so many things, there isn't, and it's not a skill based sport really. So you've just kind of got to do it. I personally think if you've never ridden a bike before, the best way to get good at cycling is to ride outside and bank really good miles outside, because hills will force you to try harder. But downhills give you rest. So you actually get a much bigger load over an outdoor ride than you would if you just like pedal inside. However, inside riding is super efficient time-wise. So when you're working, you can just get on a bike and ride. And inside and outside time is not equal, as kind of everyone says. So yeah, I'd say just ride. Do some effort differences, maybe add in a little bit of cadence variation. Keep it as like mentally stimulating as you can, but just ride your bike.
Cool. And that leads on to most important skill in cycling. Which kind of fits in, but
turning corners. Because that is also things like pothole avoidance and avoiding. If you know how to move your bike from one side of the road to the other, or round a sharp corner, and where to kind of place your body weight, you can avoid a significant number of crashes.
Yeah, I agree. And then last one on cycling, why do so many pros get punctures in 2025?
This all got asked of Pro Tri News as well. I don't think more people are getting punctures now than normal. It's just because it's on TV, so everyone's seeing it.
Yeah, I think the coverage is there, isn't it?
Yeah. Because every year people get punctures. It's just like, it will be someone posting about it on their Instagram account. Whereas nowadays we're literally seeing it happening because we've got cameras following.
And there are so many that you miss as well from the camera. You just see the big ones, and because it's Christian Blumenfeld or Gustav Iden or someone else high profile, they're there on camera, so it happens and you see it.
I also wonder if it's like, if there is a trend going up in terms of there are more punctures, is it just in the professionals or is it across age groups as well? Because if it's across everyone, that probably says more about the state of the roads than it does about the bikes and the wheels and the tyres. Because like, we all use such a diverse range of equipment that it's not a failing of one thing. We'll all use different brands of sealant. We'll all use different brands of tyres. We all use different brands of wheels. If you've still got inner tubes, you're all using different brands of inner tubes. So if there are more punctures, I think it will be a case of there is just more hardcore debris on the roads that is causing the punctures, and I can't offer an explanation for that.
And we've gone on to swimming next. So, tips for breathing exercises.
My mum is a big fan of this one. Box breathing. So honestly,
while swimming?
No, this one's a dry land one.
Okay, but will it help your swimming?
Yeah, 100%. So swimming is a lot about breath control, and if you can inflate your lungs and hold it, you will be much more kind of calm through the water because you won't be fighting for breath. So if you can box breathe, which is also a mindfulness activity, so we're all going to be super relaxed and calm and content. You breathe in for a number of seconds, you hold for the same number, you then breathe out for the same number, and then hold for the same number, and you repeat like 15 times, and then have a rest, and then kind of repeat through that 3 more times. Start off with a second, then do 2 seconds, then do 3 seconds, then do 4 seconds. So that's kind of a good dry land activity to do. And then in the water, you can do something called hypoxic work, which is where if you are if you breathe on one side, you could breathe every 2, 4, 6, 8. So a length of breathing every 2, a length of breathing every 4, a length of breathing every 6, a length of breathing every 8. If you breathe every 3, you could go 3, 5, 7, 9. And then at the end of sets, you could do 25 meters with one breath, do 25 meters with no breath, and just like challenge your lung capacity a little bit. They're probably the key like breathing related exercises you could do.
Yeah, and I have to find, I mean, I haven't swum now. I'll only swim in outdoor pools when it's sunny.
It's a nice life.
Get the nice luxury of that. I always find when I have a bit of time off swimming and I go back to it, I really notice when I'm tumble turning and holding my breath how I'm not conditioned or ready for it again. It takes me a good few sessions to get back into it. I push off the wall and I'm holding my breath and I'm still thinking, I'm running out of air. So yeah, I hadn't thought about practicing it off land. It makes sense, but maybe something I can do before I get back into the pool.
I think it would be a good idea for mindfulness as well.
Yeah, maybe more so than swimming.
Yeah, I think so.
Favorite swim set?
I am a huge fan of tempo sessions, because like speed is basically irrelevant and will change day to day, but you just get to get a bit uncomfy for a long period of time. So like a 300, 200, 100 each with like 15 seconds rest at about tempo effort. So slightly slow, slightly faster. It's like somewhere between 70.3 and full distance speed, where you're kind of working. Like you are definitely working, but you're not going flat out. So yeah, 300, 200, 100, repeat 4 times. No easy swimming in between.
No VO2 work then?
No, I hate fast 50s. And Tim knows I hate fast 50s and he always puts them in. I hate VO2 swimming. Even as a swimmer, I couldn't sprint, and it has not improved as I've trained for long distance. So
yeah, I agree. Yeah, tempo.
It's just satisfying. Like it just burns, but it doesn't become impossible.
Yeah, or a long time trial effort is what I quite enjoy.
Oh, Matt loves a 3.8k time trial or a 1.9k. You're just like, I'm going to do 1.9 today. It's like, all right.
Yeah, I lose count quite easily, so it makes it a lot easier in a 50 pool.
Yeah. Not that you've been for a while, but
no. Best HRM for swimming.
Oh, best heart rate monitor. I never use heart rate swimming.
Yeah, I haven't found a very good one in terms of the watches. I know people can wear the waterproof chest straps. You can also get I think is it a Polar?
Oh yeah, they put it's like the Temple one, so you attach it to your goggles. Also, when I was swimming, what we used to do is we had ones that would sit at the end of the lane, and you'd put them onto your chest. It was like, essentially it was a chest strap that had like a hard plastic kind of frame attached to it, so you could just press it into your chest and take a reading at the end of a length, and the coach would record it. But even they were like massively inaccurate because of the water. So your watch will not be accurate. We can pretty much guarantee that. Some people use chest straps. I don't swim with one.
No, but also I feel like swimming you can do a lot off RPE, as you can with all 3 sports.
Yeah.
And it really helps sort of the body awareness and.
For sure. But be aware, your heart rate will be higher swimming than it will be cycling. It might even be higher swimming than when you run.
Because it's full body?
Because it's full body. You're in a warm body of water usually, and you've got breath control work. So especially if you don't have a particularly big lung capacity, you will end up fatiguing because you'll be oxygen starved. So your heart rate will increase.
Yeah.
And you can actually start producing lactate much earlier because you've starved yourself as basically you're training at altitude.
Yeah.
If you don't have the lung capacity to manage it.
And I've often found, for me, I didn't swim as a youngster, so I don't have the sort of body awareness and control or effort control in the pool to kind of really sort of tone the efforts. And I often find if I try harder, I almost go slower. Yeah. So it's also having that awareness of sort of effort versus speed as well. I find if I try and glide a bit more, I can still get hold of a bit more water rather than just revving up the sort of cadence.
If you can go the same speed for less effort, then you're winning.
Yeah, it's all about efficiency, especially when you've got to bike and run after it.
Exactly. Like you don't necessarily need to get faster at swimming. You just need to be more efficient.
Yeah, and I think for the case of trying to go a minute, 2 minutes faster in a swim versus that in a run, it's a lot easier to do it in the run unless there's a big gap in the swim currently.
Yeah, agreed.
Okay, that's swimming. Run. Best pacing strategy for a rolling run course.
Yeah, this is a fun one. So I think it kind of stands for cycling as well, but no more than 10% harder up a hill.
Yeah, and considering your probably best marathon has come on a rolling run course.
Yeah, well, that was mountains.
It wasn't mountains.
It was mountains. The hills were a kilometre long.
Well,
it was a mountain. It was so steep. So yeah, and it does depend on the steepness of the hill. So you don't want to be going above more than 10% harder, and whatever that looks like, if it's 7 beats or 10, or I don't even know what 10% of, so 15 beats harder if you're running at a heart rate of 150, can feel a lot. So it would probably be a bit less than that. But if you think about, like, if you grade your effort, you don't want to be going that much harder up a hill. But if you can be consistent on the downhill and not, so like it's really easy to not run that hard downhill. But if you can keep the effort on when you're running downhill, take a little bit of recovery, but kind of keep pressing. Similarly on the bike, then you'll be able to deliver a much more consistent run, and you won't have to like send it up hills, because when your heart rate increases that much more, or your effort goes in that much higher up a hill, you pay for it because you're producing lactate when you didn't want to produce lactate, and your muscles are fatiguing at a much higher rate. So you want to like cap the effort going up, but then stay accountable on the downhill, and just like make sure that you're running well. Look how Sam Long runs down hills. He runs down hills so fast. Run like Sam Long.
Just full stop.
just do that. He ran, just learn to run hills. I think basically do it if you know that you've got a hilly run in a race, do it in training, and learn how your body best kind of deals with hills, how you need to run down them and how you need to run up them.
Yeah, that's perfect. Is practice it in training,
and preferably don't walk up hills. If you cannot walk up hills, like, because they're not steep enough, if that makes sense. So if they're steep, then walk up them. But if you can just keep moving forward at a rate that is quicker than walking, like shuffle up them is fine. But as soon as you start like walking up a hill, you slow down way quicker. So if you can just like keep the arms pumping and powering and do your little power wiggle up them.
I'm going to remind you of this next time I see you walking up a hill.
Oh yeah, I am. I will always walk up hills. But go back to that race in Chattanooga, I didn't walk up the hills.
Yeah, and you went fast.
And I went really fast. So
yeah,
just because I know that it's the right thing to do does not mean that it's something that I do.
And then lastly, before we get on to a few quick fires, will you be handing out medals at the finish line of Ironman Hamburg? I can probably answer this one and say probably not. If Steph wins, I'll make sure she's there.
Maybe. We have a really early flight the next day, so maybe not.
But also your bedtime is probably
like
long past.
Yeah, probably not.
One day when she wins
I'm
a
really
race.
good.
But I'd imagine Kat and Laura
Phillip,
and whoever else is on the podium will probably
be there. We are staying in the race hotel, so we'll be close by.
TBC.
So maybe, but
we might be there.
Maybe, but I'm not committing to anything at all. And because I don't want to disappoint everyone. 2, no idea what state I'm going to be after the race.
And on to some quick fire ones. So, drop one of swim, bike, run.
Sorry?
Drop one.
Oh, get rid of one?
Yeah.
Get rid of the run.
Yeah.
Obviously.
I think a lot of people
What would you do?
Oh, I don't know. I think I'd drop the bike.
Oh, yeah, you do hate the bike. It's too long for you.
An Ironman bike.
Yeah.
Any other distance, I'd keep it in.
No, I'm swim bike.
Cool.
I'd be so good.
Sweets or chocolate?
Chocolate.
No, I suppose you didn't say both.
Well, I would say both, but I have to pick one. I used to have a massive sweet tooth. Like sweets were my life, whereas I think long distance triathlons ruined that for me.
Yeah, I think everything's sweet, isn't it?
Yeah, so I like the balance of chocolate, even though it's still sweet.
Pizza or pasta?
Pizza.
A warm race or a cold race?
Oh, see, this is a really hard one because I much prefer being warm to being cold, but I race much better in the cold. How cold are we talking?
I think for this we're going to go extremes, aren't we? So I can't have happy.
Okay, hot race.
Hot race. Okay.
Yeah, because if it's like Norseman cold.
Think Norseman, think Kona.
Kona.
Okay.
Hot.
70.3 or full distance.
Full
Ironman.
distance.
No hesitation.
No hesitation. It's my favourite day.
I'd go for half any day. Favourite colour?
Orange.
Funny enough, the same colour as buck the trend?
Yeah. Well, actually, very specifically, it's like the peach sunset orange. A very specific shade of orange. That's my favourite colour.
Specific. Sea swim or lake swim?
Lake swim. I'm not scared of this. Well, I am very much scared of the sea. Lake swim. 100%.
Really?
Yeah. There is saltwater. Yeah, no, the sea, there is still an element of fear that sits that a shark's going to come and eat me. Whereas I'm much more calm in a lake.
So I was going to say flat water or rough water. You probably say flat water.
I'd say flat water, but I'm better suited to rough.
Yeah. I guess the times open out.
Yeah. But this is the thing, like, is it done based on what I'm best at and would suit me best, or what I prefer? Because I would very much prefer a flat lake, but I would race better in choppy sea.
Apple or Android?
Oh no, this is so mean. I don't know. So Matt,
I've converted Steph over to Apple.
Yeah, he's unwillingly and very forcefully converted me, because my Android broke, and he was like, "Oh, just have my old iPhone," and then all of a sudden we are like a full Apple household. So when that iPhone needed updating, I was like, I can't now have an Android. I mean, this is third world problems, isn't it? But it was like, it's so much easier when everything connects, and I can click copy something on my phone and it automatically copies to my Mac. Like, that's so great. So I now use an Apple, but I'm still not sure. I still don't know if I prefer Apple to Android, because I think we'd have exactly the same experience if everything in the house was Android rather than Apple.
I disagree, but okay.
So I don't know. I don't have an answer to that one.
Would you rather, in an Ironman, race without a bike computer on the bike or a watch on the run?
Oh, watch on the run.
So you'd rather run blind on the run?
Yeah.
Okay. Why?
Because I can't control my pace anyway. I actually very rarely look at my watch when I run, especially in racing, because I race off feel across all. The power on the bike keeps me accountable, but on the run, if things start to slow down, there's not much I can do about it. And if I think back to chats last year, I probably looked at my watch about 4 times, which is why I was so surprised when I crossed the finish line and I saw a 3:05 marathon, because I genuinely didn't know I was running that fast. So I just don't look at my watch when I run, because I don't want to know. I'm
pretty sure I told you how fast you were running.
No, I think you said, "Steph, slow down, you're running too fast." I was like, "No, I feel great. I'm going to keep going."
And you did.
I did very much keep going.
I'm going to keep quiet next time.
Yeah, please do.
I think I'm out of quick fires.
Okay.
So we can probably move on to
What the Buck of the Week. This one has been sent in so many times, and it is so well deserved.
Yes, I think we must have had come up to probably maybe over 10 people sent this through.
I think so. Which is super cool. So it would have been ongoing when we recorded last week. So really we just delayed so that this could be official. That's what we're going to go with. So it's Sarah Ruggins, who has just broken the Land's End to John O'Groats world record.
I'm back.
Oh yeah, and back again. So for those that are not from the UK, Land's End is the furthest southern point in the most southwestern corner of the UK, in Cornwall. It's marked by a building and a signpost that tells you how many thousands of miles it is to lots of other places in the world, including John O'Groats. And John O'Groats is the most northern point of Scotland in mainland UK. So there are some like islands that sit a little bit further up, but this is like as far as you can get on land before having to get into the sea. So she went Land's End to John O'Groats and back again.
Yeah. And Steph can put this into perspective.
Because I've done it one way.
And on a turbo.
I've done it one way on land, and I've done it the other way on a turbo. So when I stopped rowing, I bought a bike, and 2 weeks later cycled Land's End to John O'Groats, and I did it in 9 days, which averaged something like 160k a day, I think. Or 150k a day.
At the time, and it still is impressive.
Yeah. Or maybe it was, something like that. Which was so fun, really, really hard. She went there and back again in 5 days, 11 hours and 14 minutes.
Which is disgusting.
It's just vile.
I don't think I could drive it in that time.
No, I would need a nap. I'd need 4 days worth of nap. But yeah, I mean, that's just utterly incredible.
So yeah, congratulations to Sarah.
Did we have the final kilometre, how far she actually cycled?
How far?
Yeah.
I can probably find it.
Because I think there are a couple of ways that you could do it. So I didn't do the fastest way because there's the A99 in northern Scotland, which goes up the coast and is notoriously not great for cyclists. One, there are some big hills, but also it's just it's busy because it's the way up and down that coast. And the road surface is bad. So I cut inland and then went up through the centre of northern Scotland and then turned right. So I basically did an extra 2 legs that I didn't need to do instead of going straight up. So I think I worked out I could have done it a day quicker if I'd just gone straight up the coast of Scotland. But I didn't. I went inland. And I think I did 1,500 kilometres.
Yeah, so yeah, it was 1,677 miles, which is 2,700 kilometres.
Oh, 2,700 kilometres in 5 days, 11 hours and 14 minutes.
Yeah, that's impressive.
That is an unbelievable ride, and she was supported by Precision Fuel and Hydration, who's one of my sponsors. So it's super cool to see them supporting some really quite outrageous achievements.
And to put into perspective, she was covering 500 kilometres a day, surviving on just over 4 hours of sleep throughout the ride.
I would be intolerable. No one would be able to have a conversation with me. I would be a horrible person on that little sleep.
I mean, yeah, 500 kilometres in one ride is bad enough.
We haven't managed that yet.
No, 200 miler, wasn't it?
It broke you.
Yeah, it literally broke me.
That was it. Couldn't do any more.
So, yeah, congratulations to Sarah. What a feat.
Yeah, you are our What the Buck of the Week, and very, very well deserved.
I think we can call it there.
That is it. We are done.
Yeah, thank you very much, everyone, for listening, and welcome back.
And we will see you next week for the Ironman Hamburg preview.
Wonderful. Thank you very much.
See you later. Bye.
Bye.